Douchebags.
That was fucking awful. That was the worst movie I've ever seen that got applause from the audience. And I fucking hate when anybody does that shit.
I don't know if I'd go that far. Oh no, it was terrible. But
no, that wasn't just. That was disgusting. It was morally fucking repugnant.
oh yeah, it was terrible. I just don't know if it's the worst movie I've ever seen that got applause, because Transformers 3 got applause.
No point.
Well, I mean, like, I guess we first should say at the top, of course this movie is not made for us.
No.
Of course it's not.
But I firmly believe, regardless of the fucking subject material,
yeah,
a good documentary can be made about almost anything.
Absolutely.
Like something that's engaging can be made out of almost anything. It just takes... This wasn't a fucking documentary.
No. And that's how I'm going to review it too, is just strictly as a documentary, because I agree with you. It
was a goddamn infomercial.
It's one of the worst documentaries I've seen in years. It's one of the worst. I can honestly say I think it's the worst documentary I've ever seen, and I like documentaries. I watch them all the goddamn time. Mm-hmm. This was terrible. It was not a documentary. It was a fucking hour-and-a-half long infomercial for a boy band. Documentaries do not have CGI special effects. That was only in there because of the 3D. If the movie wasn't in 3D, I doubt that would have been there.
Still.
But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And like, yeah, I think its target audience will probably like it, because when I got here before you guys did, and there was an earlier screening for it at about 7 o'clock, 7:30 or something like that, and that screening had gotten out just before you guys showed up, and there were girls coming out who were falling in the street crying. Stupid girls go stupid over stupid shit.
Yeah, they do, because you know what? Every single one of those guys was... there was one that probably wasn't that much of a douchebag, but for the most part, those guys were fucking douchebags.
Well,
everybody in that movie was a fucking douchebag, really.
And then we got, except for Scorsese.
Well, yes, of course. And Chris Rock. I mean,
Chris Rock, because Scorsese is, hey, Marty, it's Morgan. Calling in a favor.
Bring your granddaughter to the concert. I just need you on film for 30 seconds.
Yeah. And then when I got here and went inside, there was some girls who were camped out. There was like about 6 of them or so, which is really funny considering how at the end of the day there was really only about 15 people in that theater. But the funniest part is that the enthusiasm from them was still there. It was kind of like if you watched the Ed Sullivan Show and only 10 people showed up, but they still had the same enthusiasm. And here's what I thought was great, because when the previews started, the screen was fucked up. It was like smaller than it should be. And it was like the size of a stamp, like in the middle of the screen, and like the 3D was fucked up and all that shit. Here's the thing. Normally when that happens in a movie, it's like you're playing a game of chicken with everybody else in the theater. Yeah. Okay, 10 minutes
who's gonna go do it? Yeah.
Who's gonna go do it? 10 minutes are gonna go by. Who the fuck's gonna go do it? In this particular case, I gotta hand it to the teenage girls here, because they pile-drived out the fucking...
It's fucking ridiculous, because I wanted to watch the fucking Hobbit trailer, so I got off my ass and walked out there. And walked right up to the first employee I saw and said, hey, excuse me, the focus is really bad in Theater 8. Could someone fix that, please?
Yeah.
And I turned around, and there's 8 fucking girls in a line to fucking tell this guy the same thing I just said.
Yeah.
And apparently they all still fucking told him, because when I went back in and sat down, 3 of them came in triumphant, taking credit for telling him.
We told him! We got it done!
It's gonna fix it!
And then when it fixed it...
I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? I did all the work, you dumb cunts.
I know, right? Like, that was much better. At least you didn't have to go out like at the Katy Perry screening. Yeah. At least you didn't have to go out like me and say, hey, our movie's pink. Sir, are you sure it's not just the movie? No, it's not just the movie. and at least I didn't come back in and go like, Dave, I fucking fixed it. it wouldn't have been out of the realm of possibility. We were fucking high at that screening.
Oh, so stupid.
But so I don't know. I know who the band is. I do. I mean, you can't be on fucking social media and not
British douchebags from the fucking Pepsi commercials. Yeah.
I hadn't heard really any. Why would I have heard much of their fucking songs? I haven't. So what? It's not for me. It's not my taste. If it is, more power to you. And having seen it, do I like it? Well, no. It just sounds. It's boy band shit. It sounds like a boy band. It's slightly more auto-tuned, but it sounds like any other just fucking boy band. It does. Looking at this thing as a documentary, just strictly as that, for shallow reasons, I know why it exists, but for artistic reasons, I don't know. I still don't feel like I know fucking anything about these guys. If you are a huge, huge fan of them, you will probably like this fucking movie. But here's the thing. If you are a huge fucking fan of these guys, I highly doubt you are gonna leave the theater knowing something new about these guys.
You'll know what their fucking moms look like.
And even then, you're going to see that shit on Extra. You're going to see that shit on E. You're going to see that shit. They come from a reality show.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of that shit was on the X Factor or whatever the fuck that they were on.
No, it's just the pacing of this documentary was song, one-on-one interview about how we're all just normal blokes.
Yeah.
Shot of mom crying, song, normal blokes, then flat out fucking scripted scenes.
Yeah.
Like, no, there were scenes in this, they can deny it to the end of the fucking world, and I don't give a shit. There were scenes in this that were scripted. Because I assure you, those 5 British fucking little douchebags do not go camping on their own.
Yeah.
Because obviously they don't, because this shows them trying to build a fire out of fucking trees. And then it cuts to them with a fire with fucking hewn logs. Yeah. Like, they were obviously chopped by someone. I assure you it wasn't them.
Yeah. It was the movie's full of stuff like that. They're fishing.
Do you think we'll be friends?
Yeah, they're fishing. You know what? That was the thing I was having with this movie. No, you're not going to be friends
because 2 of you are going to die from heroin overdoses. So you're going to fucking disown the other one for being gay. That guy's going to probably go on to be like a really shitty producer and hate all of you.
One of them's going to be an actor.
And one of them's going to end up like Corey Feldman. And that's just the way it's going to be. No, you're going to fucking hate each other in 2 years.
What happened to like band movies like Help? Or like Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter, or Catch Us If You Can, like they're movies, but they're starring a band. Like next year we'll see a fucking movie where it's like, oh blimey, the tattoo on his back is leading us to the buried treasure of Atlantis.
the fucking horrible butterfly tramp stamp one of them had. I'm like, okay, you know what? I've seen really bad tattoos on people in my life, like. I have never seen 5 dudes that hang out together with that many bad tattoos. They're just like a fucking drunk spastic with fucking ADD had a fucking needle and just started drawing on them. It's awful.
I was frequently checking my fucking watch in this, or the clock on my phone, and this is one of the worst movies I've sat through all year. But it wasn't so much that I was kept checking it because like, hey, get out of this piece of shit, like that. It was more just that it goes along with what you said. It's song, couple guys talking, song, couple guys talking. I couldn't tell. The movie has no arc. No. It has no, as a documentary, it really has no beginning, middle, and end. It's just, it's what you said. It's an infomercial. So there's no way of telling when it's nearing the end of this goddamn thing. There's no way of telling when it's nearing the middle, when you're past the start of it, and then
you got 5 fucking 20-year-olds on tour across the world. Where's the scene where one of them gets drunk? Where's where one has an emotional breakdown? Where do they have a little fight? No, because it's fucking
There was nothing like that in it.
And I assure you, it had to have fucking happened, because nobody gets along that well. We've known each other for 30 years. We live together. We still get snippy with each other.
Yeah, it just fucking happens. And you know what fucking happens here? And this movie is so bad at showing these guys that I can't differentiate between a goddamn one of them.
I don't know any of their fucking names.
I cannot remember their fucking names. I can't. They have the same exact personality in this. They have the same humor throughout the whole thing. They're completely indistinguishable from each other. They're completely indistinguishable from any other shallow piece of footage I've seen from any other boy band before. So because of that, I don't know how well these guys know each other. I don't know if they hate each other. Do they like each other? And this movie is giving out information, and it's telling us some little snippets that it sounds like they're saying it to us as if it's supposed to be positive, but it's really not.
Yeah.
Like when they're saying to us, like, oh, they barely fucking know each other. Let's throw them all together. They'll fucking get along, right? They're saying that as if that's supposed to be a good thing. And like, oh, look at how fucking famous they are before they even put out a fucking album. They're saying that.
Oh, God. And in the opening, what kept really pissing me off was, in the first 10 minutes of this film, there was 3 comparisons to the Beatles.
And it was all asinine comparisons.
The Beatles didn't take off this quickly. No, there wasn't social fucking media.
Yeah.
You had to ship albums on a fucking boat across a goddamn ocean.
Exactly. I think I even shouted at the screen, like, social fucking media! Really? Like, okay, I get, like, the crying girl fan base, screaming, shrieking, and all that. That shit has existed for fucking decades. The Beatles are more musically talented than these guys are.
Well, the Beatles wrote their own fucking songs.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't know who that writes these guys' songs.
It showed the dude. It's a guy in a studio. Some douchebag with a fucking goatee. Oh my God, I had to wake up at 6 in the morning and go to work. My life is so hard. Fuck you, you're rich.
Well, judging them as performers, too, they're not... I don't know how to describe it. They just kind of mince around on stage a little bit. They kind of walk around. There's really no... For a boy band... Look, I don't like boy bands, but a lot of them are choreographed fine. There was none of that here. They just kind of stroll around like... There's no sense that really they kind of know what they're doing on stage. Sometimes they're just sitting there. Sometimes one guy is off in the background. One guy's just kind of walking over here for some reason. I mean, look, of course it's not for me. Of course. I mean, but even for a boy band, I don't know. I certainly don't get the stage presence of these guys. I don't. I mean, yeah, it's a shitty documentary, but it did show them on stage quite a bit.
It's just...
Katy Perry, I get. You know, to compare...
That documentary had a fucking arc, at least.
Yeah, it did. And, like,
it showed her, like, having a fucking mental breakdown.
Yeah, I'm looking back...
That was a documentary. It wasn't a good one, but it was a fucking documentary.
It was. It was a documentary about someone that I could take or leave, honestly. But Katy Perry, like, that I'm seriously looking back on that documentary with fonder memories as a film, because yeah, that was a warts and all documentary. You really got a sense of who this person was. A crazy person, yeah, but you came away from that really knowing way more about her than they give you in this film. Like, that had her going through a divorce. It had kind of like I will say the 3D in this movie was better than the 3D in the Katy Perry one, but then again, like, it'd be really weird to see really sparkling good 3D during a divorce.
That would have been amazing.
So yeah, that you're right. That movie did have an arc. It showed you this person's beginning. It showed you this breakdown she had. It gave you a slight glimpse into the troubles of her marriage and things like that. I mean, it at least had something. It at least did something. It felt more personal than this movie. It felt way more personal than this movie. This movie is a flat out propaganda piece. Yeah. Flat out. Like, even to where, like, I even leaned over to Dave at one point when The kid's like, how famous are we? How fucking famous are we? All right, hang on just a sec. He stands up from his chair. He's in like a hotel room. He stands up from his chair. He goes to the balcony doors behind him, and it's all from the same shot, from the same angle. So the camera's still right in front of his chair. You just see him walking in the background. And he opens the door, and you just hear crowds of people, woo, woo. I lean over to Dave, and I'm like, oh, yeah, but there was a time when Hitler could have done the same thing.
Yeah. Like, and they kept going on about, like, you know, we just want to be in a band that's going to be remembered. And it's like, you know what? No matter what you do at this point, you're a fucking footnote.
In this day and age where things just come and fucking go.
You're a fucking footnote. Unless you start making, like, serious music, you're a fucking footnote. Because I hate to say it, the bands that are going to be remembered in 10, 15 years aren't the bands that sell 1 million goddamn albums. They're not. It doesn't work that way anymore. Because, you know, yes, everyone remembers the fucking Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and shit like that. But they're not remembered really that fucking fondly. Like, the best thing to come out of all that shit was Justin Timberlake. So one guy out of about 100 dudes in boy bands at that time stuck around and did something else, and it was because he worked his ass off at it. Like, these kids today, it's just so, it is very much just propaganda. Like, hey, look at us. Like, let's.
It was.
And, you know, good for these guys. Like, make some fucking money, cash in while you can, enjoy the fuck out of yourself.
Yeah.
Like, good for you. Like, I'm not angry that they're successful. Great for them.
Of course not, because, I mean, there's been trite fucking shit like this for...
Ever.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, and some, like, you know, I love some trite shit. Like,
me too.
Like, go back to the 60s. Like, yeah, I'll if I see an Archie's album, I'll fucking buy it.
Goddamn right.
And, you know, the Monkees. Fucking love the Monkees.
Oh, God, yeah.
But you know what I really like? I like the really late weird monkey shit.
Yeah, when it gets into, like, when you start getting
when
into,
they start
like,
taking acid and making their own shit. Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. Like,
But the Monkees were charming.
Yeah, the Monkees were charismatic. The Monkees were funny. They were charismatic. They had differentiating personalities. They did. Like, you knew watching most things from the Monkees, they don't all seem like the same fucking guy. And the music and the songs are good. The songs are catchy. They are catchy. The songs in this, they're not. I mean, they're not. I'm not gonna say it's like any worse than any other boy band stuff, because it all sounds the same. It's just forgettable. That's all really. It's just kind of forgettable boy band stuff. There were like 2 moments in this where it was kind of like, okay, well, now I can kind of see Morgan Spurlock's touch on this.
There was twice. Like 2 moments. The one literally the obviously fake doctor.
Yeah, the one where it's showing a neurologist talking about why teenage girls freak out on boy bands and stuff like that and things that they love, and he's holding up a brain and he divides it in half. Like, it's because of this.
The release of dopamine. And
yeah, that's right. The release of dopamine. At that moment, I was like, okay, yeah, that seems to be Morgan Spurlock's thing. And also that part where the dude dressed up like a...
Yeah.
Where he dressed up like a security guard at the concert, which honestly, it made me laugh a couple of times, because he was kind of going through there and yelling at some of the girls, and he was like, it's One Direction, it's nothing but crap. That was kind of funny, but it had no payoff. It had absolutely no payoff.
No, if they had showed a clip of that during the concert.
Yeah.
So those few girls would have freaked out. There's some payoff to it. It wouldn't have been much, but it would have been a fucking payoff to it. It was just, it was a pointless scene. And if you're going to script something like that, put a fucking payoff in it.
Yeah.
Just Morgan Spurlock, he's one of those dudes that, for the most part, I've liked a lot of his work. I think some of it's complete crap, and I think he's like, not to talk bad about this person either, because I actually do like him, but he's very similar in a sense to Michael Moore, where he puts himself into his work.
Yeah.
Which isn't always the best thing for a documentarian to do.
Depends on what kind of movie you're making.
Yeah.
Obviously, something like Super Size Me that's the kind of thing where it makes sense.
You can do that, or you could do it about someone else doing it too, which would be a more pure way of doing a documentary.
That's true.
But
yeah.
but at the same time, like, you know, they have a person. They're very obviously putting their own personality on their work for a reason, and it's because they both very obviously have a political agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's always a bad thing. I like Michael Moore's films, and I've liked most of Morgan Spurlock's. I don't think they're the best documentaries ever, but I find them entertaining, and you can pick some insightful stuff out of them. They're very one-sided, but so be it.
They also do a good job. I mean, say what you will about their politics or anything like that. They do a good job of carrying those movies too. There's a reason these guys have done so many movies like they do where they're in front of the camera. It's because they're funny. They are funny guys. They are charismatic on camera. They're good at making that kind of film. That kind of film where they're certainly the star of it. And that it could have helped this film because this movie doesn't give us any goddamn information about these guys.
You know, just throwing... Even if Morgan Spurlock just threw himself into it as somebody who didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. If it was told from that point of view of a guy who is making this documentary, even though clearly it's not like he probably sits around listening to a bunch of fucking One Direction music and shit like that, you know. That would have at least been something. Yeah, that would have at least been interesting.
But this, this was... He got roped. He must have made a shit ton of money off this. He got paid well.
I'm sure.
Or he had some kind of contract that he had to fucking fill in.
Uh-huh.
But, yeah, it's just... I lost a lot of respect points for the man. A lot. Like, a lot of
At least when
points.
Michael Moore went outside the box, it was Canadian Bacon. And that movie was funny.
Yeah.
Canadian Bacon is fun. That movie's underrated.
No, that's a dude going, well, fuck it.
Make a fucking movie about invading Canada. We'll get John Candy in there, throw in Alan Alda as president. Fuck it.
Well, and that's one of those things to me that's kind of like, okay, so a guy who makes documentaries got a hair up his ass to direct a movie.
Yeah.
And he did a decent job.
Yeah,
but
I mean, he's better at documentaries, but...
But you don't think twice about it when a guy who's great at making movies decides to make a like Scorsese.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you don't blink an eye when he's like, yeah, I'm going to make a documentary this year.
And that's a guy who knows how to direct which is kind of ironic that he's popping up in this fucking movie, because some of the best fucking musical documentaries I've seen were done by Martin Scorsese, and he's popping up in this movie, which is honestly one of the worst.
Yeah. Scorsese did The Last Waltz.
Yeah.
He did that Rolling Stones one a couple years ago that was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And the George Harrison one.
Yeah, and I don't even like the Stones in that one. It was great. It was a great documentary. But fuck, The Last Waltz was amazing.
And that goes to, and that honestly, like, and I'm a huge Rolling Stones fan, but what you said there is key too, in that you don't like the Rolling Stones, but you notice that was a good documentary. Yeah. And that's key here, because this isn't just both of us sitting here like, well, we hate One Direction, so of course we're going to take a shit on this fucking movie. That's not it. This is a poorly made movie.
No, you could, like, I've seen documentaries about things that I could give a shit about.
Yeah.
Man on Wire.
Yeah.
That
movie was terrifying.
Yeah, exactly. But listen to... We're going to do a 2-hour documentary about a guy who tight ropes.
Yeah.
Who fucking cares? Really? Who fucking cares? And then you see it and you're like, oh my, it was enrapturing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite documentaries ever is called Helvetica. It's about, it's 2 hours long. It's about a font.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a font.
Yeah.
That's fucking... How much more boring can you fucking get than talking about a font for 2 hours?
But the right documentarian can make an entertaining movie.
And that movie was fascinating. Mm-hmm. Like, fucking Kenneth Burns shit might be 8 hours long, but at least at the end you fucking learn something
You learn something. The guy does fucking research on shit.
Yeah.
You know? We were saying earlier that, or before we went to go see it, that movies like this they're oftentimes hard to talk about, but this one was fairly easy because there was enough that's fucking wrong with it. I mean, like, it goes without saying that if you're a huge fan of these guys, and as freaking shallow as this fucking documentary is, it's ironic that they're called 1D. But of course, if you're a fan of these guys, if you are a diehard fucking fan, you're probably gonna like it. You're probably gonna like it because it's a band with a bunch of fucking people you like, and they're singing and they're doing cute shit and whatever. Oh, that's probably all you're fucking asking for when you're going to go see this. If you're a 12-year-old girl.
I recognized 2 songs from it, and they both made me sick to my stomach.
Well, yeah, one of them was Blondie, and the other was
Teenage Dirtbag by Wheatus.
Yeah.
The 2 cover songs, 2 actually really good songs, and just horrible boy band covers. And it really, almost every song they were singing, if you listen to the lyrics, it was very obviously about, like, date rape. I'm not joking. Well, every single song was like, I'm gonna spend all night long with you, baby.
Well, that's why they don't give her a name. That's why she's always this
She's
girl.
always baby or girl.
Girl. Well, there was that one. She was. Did you miss this is when you went out of the theater. Did you catch the line about KFC and fried chicken?
Yes, I did. I heard that. I wonder how much money they got for that. I heard that as I was walking out, and I stopped and I turned and I went, "Did that motherfucker just sing about KFC?"
Yeah. I was like, I hope to God that Dave was still in the theater when that happened, because if he was, I know the fucking reaction. He paused for about 3 seconds and looked back at the screen, shook his head, and moved on.
I hope they made a lot of money for that.
And there was the only one that I can think of where they actually named the girl they were talking about was Noelle, because she rings their bells or whatever. It's the one that had the comic book stuff going on.
Oh, God. Okay, and I might very well be wrong about this. This is another thing. It's just fucking annoying me. I could be wrong about this. I'm going to throw out a name. I could be wrong because we didn't watch the credits, but from the style, it's a style I recognized, and I can say with some certainty. They do this song, and there's these quick cuts, and then it does a freeze frame where it shows them drawn as superheroes in the middle of the movie for no fucking reason, because that's what you do in documentaries. And I swear to God, it was drawn by Greg Land, who, if anyone wants to have this argument with me, that's fucking fine. He's a fucking hack. I fucking hate his artwork. Mm-hmm. He is known by fans and in the comic community for stealing other people's artwork, for tracing porn and using that for he's a fucking hack. Like when we were at fucking Comic-Con, that was Irving's ass. when we were at fucking Comic-Con, walking around Artist Alley, there's lines for all these big things, and there's Greg Land sitting at a table all by his lonesome fucking self, and I just kind of internally.
He was at one of the.
No, he was at Chicago.
Oh, he was. Oh, okay.
And it was just like, yeah, fuck you. You know what, man? Like, for the most part, every artist has a different way they work, and I can respect it. There is such a thing as blatant fucking theft, and that is.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
Yeah.
As an artist, to me, that's unacceptable. Blatant fucking theft. And you can call it an homage all you fucking want to. When you do it at least once a month, fuck you, you're a thief. Mm-hmm. And if that, it's just Greg Land. Fucking hate him. Mm-hmm. And I swear to God it was him. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, so
I don't know.
I didn't watch the fucking credits. It's not your world.
Yeah, you're the comic guy, not me. I don't know who he is. But now I know who to say hi to next time I'm at a convention.
Yeah,
Dave, I got you an autograph.
You know, for all I know, he could be a really, really fucking nice guy. I have absolutely no respect for him. Mm-hmm. That's just me personally, and I hate his fucking artwork. And when he first started out, I was like, oh, that's really eye-catching. But like learning about his process and what he fucking does, it's just, I'm fucking done. I'm done because I'm not even angry. I'm just kind of nauseous and sad.
I thought that I would at least come away with this knowing something about these
I don't
guys.
know their fucking names.
I can't remember that. And
there's 5 main characters in a movie. I should be able to remember their names.
You can't when they're all the same fucking person. They're all the movie just it shows them with the same personalities, the same attitudes, the same everything. And I've got nothing else to say.
2 of them had the same fucking haircut.
Yeah, well, yeah. They look like someone just threw a fucking Cabbage Patch doll into a fucking pressure chamber. I mean, Jesus Christ. That's another thing too. It's like I'm sorry, like people call the Rolling Stones ugly, but the Rolling Stones are fucking Fabio compared to how some of these guys look in this fucking thing. I've got nothing. No, I don't. I don't recommend it. It's like I said. You're probably gonna like it if you're a fan. You'll like anything that they do. But
if you're a fan of One Direction, what the fuck are you doing watching our videos?
Yeah.
I mean, if by chance you're doing both, cool. But chances are our audiences aren't fucking crossing.
Yeah. So
maybe like it's
0.03%. I know nothing about these guys. Their music is not for me. I didn't like it. And as a documentary, it's poorly edited and it's very, 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 very poorly made. So that's my final thought on the fucking thing.
That was easily. That's the worst documentary I've ever seen. Every time I say the word documentary in context, I want to do the quotes.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm going home.
See ya.